In 2013, I took 30 and out, and for the first time I retired. To complete 2 sets of writings was to what I then aspired. The first is a book series set where I'm from, Placentia Bay, and spanning times and things that happened there from the 1920s to this day. Now the other is the 8 things, which are principles I've deemed essential for any teacher's successful career and to see it climb to its potential. The first job is now done, and the novels essentially are finished. And my belief in the 8 things remains to this day undiminished. But writing them into a book is a thing I will not do. Instead, I'm putting them to rhyme, and each year sharing one with you. I've also decided there's no need to create a brand new cast. No, I'm drawing those from my novels, and I'll set them in the past. Now, thing 1, the most important, is a motto I love to preach. Frame your job so it's not courses, it's students that you teach. Now, in thing 2, set in the 20s, a war vet, Martin, was then shown by his student, Pat, that no teacher should try and make it on their own. For thing 3, in the 40s, Martin and his son Robert were put to task, but learned from Pat, who was now a teacher, that the right questions you must ask. Now, thing 4 was in the 60s, and Robert's mentor Anna, a professor here at Mon, taught her students to shine a light where previously there was none. Later in that decade, Robert, to be a better teacher, heard the call, and in doing so, he learned thing 5, make a space for all. A few years later, a young teacher, Chrissy, and her son learned thing 6, for teachers, learning's never done. And this year, you'll hear thing 7, a lesson Chrissy learned in the mid-90s when things got lean and she was almost burned. Chrissy, I need to see you for a minute. Principal Shallow, now? I'm on my way to class. Yes, please. So she followed him to the office, thinking, I'm almost late. I really should have passed. He said, our student population is declining. Now we have fewer teachers on our staff. So I've combined the grade 5s with the 6s. I know you'll get this, he added with a laugh. Just like him to save things for last minute, she thought, but said, I will try to make it work. And as she left for class, that inner voice inquired, which one of you two should I now deem the jerk? Once at her room, things seemed a little brighter. After all, those 6s were her 5s the past year. And perhaps if the tables and the chairs were set out better, the chaos and the clutter would disappear. After tinkering with various arrangements, she settled with both classes situated side by side. Aha, cackled Shallow from the doorway. Great stuff. I knew you'd fix it if you tried. She nodded to him, yearning for her coffee, for in her haste she left behind her precious brew. Still, she was careful that it was not just her middle finger that got raised as she waved to him as he withdrew. Next, she feverishly studied the curriculum. How can I merge them so it's not a mammoth switch? And lo, she found successes as the weeks went by and soldiered on, despite her newfound eyeball twitch. For her part, the students rose to the occasion, with cooperation between the grades and across the aisles. And often, the grade 6s served as tutors, resulting in better work and frequent smiles. But not always. Sometimes it came asunder, despite her efforts to keep the whole thing harmonized, like the time she attempted doing dioramas as a multi-grade cross-curricular exercise. Amidst the blobs of Play-Doh, cardboard, cotton balls, and Legos, two dissimilar sets of themes tried to come through. But the greatest source of friction was not conceptual, but rather whose turn it was to get the markers or the glue. And it happened that on that day, Principal Shallow came and set the whole dynamic quite askew, saying, Mr. Lockerby's 7 and 8 class isn't gelling, and we knew that to help us solve it, you'd come through. So we're transferring 3 of his students to your class now, adding, no doubt you'll help them find a good space. You're just so creative and conscientious in your teaching, and with that, he disappeared without a trace. And as the 3 shuffled awkwardly beside the windows, Chrissy's soul exited her body for a while as she pondered bolting for the door in panic, but she refrained as that was simply not her style. You came without your books and desks, she stated. Go get them. She shoosed them through the door, and when they returned, she wedged all hands in somehow. Cripes, she thought, I can't withstand much more. Now, safe to say, the next few weeks were stressful. Still, the additions became settled one by one, but Chrissy's inner voice now screamed, I am sinking, and her eyes now twitched in sync with black hole sun. Sometime mid-November, all in a fluster, her mind juggling lesson plans for all 3 groups, she almost tripped up into colleagues in the hallway. Just stuck there chatting, she turned and uttered, whoops. Who was it? Who else but Lockerby and Shallow? As usual, lollygagging and laughing right out loud. Said Shallow, can't you just get it all together without dashing about with your head up in the cloud? Now once again, her soul departed from her body, and from her viewpoint near the ceiling she observed her outer voice acquiring the knack for placing quotes round each articulated word. Unlike you two, I have a stressful workload, nor do I get to choose those whom I teach. And when you recite your mantra of compassion, I wonder, do you practice what you preach? Shallow scowled. Here it comes, thought Chrissy, and braced herself for what he had next to say. But Lockerby caught in, workload, it's not even close, girl. What about we switch our classes for the day? Fine, she retorted, and turned a full 180, to hide her face now whiter than a sheet. What have I done? She wondered, aware that her eye twitch was perfectly in tune with her heartbeat. She hesitated outside the 7 and 8 doorway. Wish I'd kept my mouth shut, she did chide. Oh, Miss Chrissy, do we have you for the full day? Came a chorus when she dared to step inside. For now, she said, but I can't find the lesson plans. Plans? Some students echoed with odd looks. Yes, said Chrissy, they tell me what to teach you. Said one, Sir only makes us study what's in our books. She thought, well, Lockerby may be fine with doing nothing, but my day in this class won't be like that. So she scanned the textbooks, guides, and course descriptions and put together a full day plan in nothing flat. Now the first period was for social studies, and since empowerment is a theme found in each grade, Chrissy broke the room into groups to aid discussion. That done, gave each member a role for which they played. Time flew, and before long the recess bell announced to all that it was time to take a break. And with that, Shallow barged into the classroom. Miss Christine, this has all been a mistake. And you need to get back to your own homeroom, for Mr. Lockerby has decided it's enough. And it's time to put an end to these shenanigans, said Chrissy. Nope, he's just sore. I called his bluff. Just now, while teaching about empowerment, I saw through how you left me with a mess. I'm shouldering far more than what should be my fair share, and I'm no longer willing to simply acquiesce. Shallow began to sputter a rebuttal, but Chrissy continued, no, you listen now to me. Not only did I do what neither of you two could, but more importantly, I also came to see. This year, you've been so utterly dismissive as you've piled the work of others on my plate, but that won't be at the cost of my well-being. So what I'm saying isn't open for debate. And while I'm capable of more than you give me credit for, I am done with feeling incomplete and stressed. And so from now on, things round here are going to have to change a lot, and that's a statement, sir, not just a mere request. And with that, Chrissy went back to her students, leaving Shallow at the door, his mouth agape. The silence broken only by the students' muted chatter, as all wondered what would surely next take shape. And so there we have it. Thing number 7, a lesson that Chrissy had to learn the hard way, but I hope you won't. And so, as you move forward into your brilliant careers, remember thing 7. You've got to take care of you. And students, it's been a joy working with you these past couple of years. And as you move into your careers, I want to wish you all the best.